painting of Saint Teresa of Avila symbolizes her devotion to the Lord. She says that through prayer we build up a friendship with God, whom we know loves us. So she is a symbol of prayer. The most significant thing about Saint Teresa of Avila's painting is her face, which is so serene. The Spirit of God shines through her face. The dove is also significant because it represents the Holy Spirit which dwells in Saint Teresa. Prayer deepened her relationship with the Lord. Thus, she resembled the Lord. Saint John of the Cross symbolizes the charism of service. Saint John of the Cross was unable to learn a trade, so he became the servant of the poor in the hospital of Medina. Saint John of the Cross is embracing the cross with great care. It looks as if he is carrying a child. This shows how precious the cross is. Saint John also shows great reverence towards the cross. The picture shows how Saint John is carrying the cross, which is significant. Christ said that if anyone wants to follow him, he should carry the cross. Saint John carried the cross by doing service in his community. Saint Teresa of the Trinity symbolizes community. Noted as a lively, popular girl, extremely stubborn, given to fits of rage, with great reverence for God, and an early attraction to a life of prayer and reflection. She was a gifted pianist. She also visited the sick and taught catechism to children. A visual aspect of her picture is her eyes. By looking at her piercing eyes, one can tell that she has a strong personality. God's grace transformed this fiery personality into a helping hand that reaches out to the community. What's significant about her life is that she used her talents in serving the Lord through others and reaching out to her community. Carmelites speak of contemplation as a gift of God that can be nurtured by a life of prayer. In prayer, we build up a friendship with God. This photograph of the liturgy symbolizes prayer because the church is the place of worship. The church is God's dwelling place, and we come into communion with God when we enter the church. The photograph of the liturgy is focusing on the altar. This is showing that the faithful during the liturgy are focusing their attention and devotion to God. The photograph of the liturgy represents prayer, but it also is a symbol of unity because the faithful gather together to worship God. They come together as one family to be in communion with God. In service, we open ourselves to be God's hands in the world, responding to the needs of others, especially the poor and marginalized. The hermits were forced to leave their home in Mount Carmel and settle in Europe. There, they changed their style of life from hermits to friars. The major difference is that friars are called to serve the people of God in some active apostolate. Some religious congregations were founded for a specific work, but the Carmelite order tries simply to respond to the needs of the church and the world, which differs according to time and place. And so many friars work in parishes, schools, universities, etc. The kind of service which each individual friar is involved in will depend on the needs of the people in whose midst he lives and his own particular talents. In community, we encounter God in our brothers and sisters who confront and challenge us. Carmelites seek to form communities where each person feels accepted and valued, not for what he or she can do, but simply because he or she is. This kind of community is in itself a witness that the love of Christ can break down the barriers which human beings set up, and that it is possible for people of different backgrounds and nationalities to live together in peace and harmony. Carmelites are also aware of being a part of an international fraternity which is present in many parts of the world. My Carmelite gallery teaches me that people cannot see God, yet the only way that people can see God is through the faithful. If we live a life of service, community, and prayer, then we become God's hands through which He can reach out to the world.